All right.
In a world often dominated by prescribed solution, there is a quieter, potent force whispering its healing potential, energy medicine. Today, we unlock its secrets and explore its incredible ability to address high blood pressure and other chronic diseases. Journey with us through personal stories and expert insights that promise to enlighten and empower your path to wellness. Welcome to the High Blood Pressure Wellness Lifestyle Podcast, where your journey toward a healthier, more vibrant life takes center stage. I am Donna Williams, your host and guide, certified holistic health coach, and passionate advocate for transforming lives through mindful, practical approaches to health. At my digital home, info on highbloodpressure.com, through this podcast, my comprehensive online resources, and personalized coaching, I offer and am deeply committed to serving an extraordinary community with a special focus on uplifting women of color. We're here to cut through the confusion surrounding chronic disease management, starting with high blood pressure, and to provide clarity and actionable insights. So let's connect and explore how holistic health coaching can enrich your life. Today's topic is on harnessing quantum energies, a heartfelt journey to lower blood pressure. And I am so excited to introduce Rebecca Steele, our guest, and she has a unique background and mission. She has over 15 years experience and is a skilled hypnotherapist and quantum biofeedback health and wellness mentor. She works with biofeedback devices and quantum energy medicine, offering clients deep insights into their health. Her ability to help entrepreneurs turn wellness goals into reality is truly remarkable. Rebecca aims to promote healing and connection through hypnotherapy, paving the way for personal transformation. Her dedication to helping others shines in her work, making her an inspirational figure. To learn more about Rebecca's journey and services, visit her website at RebeccaSteeleWellness.com for a summary of her mission and distinctive approaches to wellness. The link would be within the transcript for you to click on. Rebecca is welcome. I welcome you to High Blood Pressure Wellness Podcast, where I know my listeners is curious after learning so much about you and want to know about the role of energy medicines and how it helps with the healing of hypertension. So let's get started. Welcome, Rebecca. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you so much, Donna, for inviting me to be your guest on this really auspicious day. I always feel it's auspicious. And to begin this this meeting of minds to share. So thank you for having me.
Okay. So first, let's start with share with us what initially inspired you to explore this field of biofeedback devices and quantum energy medicine, and how does it shape your approach to wellness today?
Oh, do you know, that is a beautiful question, and it kind of has my life in a nutshell. Um, as to begin with, my childhood began with very serious illnesses, and which I was brought up by South Indian parents who, we practice the Ayurvedic lifestyle. So food was our medicine, and so was our environment. And it really kind of dawned on me as I sort of went grew through the my teenage years into my 20s and 30s that I I was open. I felt so open to feeling emotions, and emotional health was. I realized the kind of the if you like, the stone that became the block, um, to understanding that how my body responded to food, to people, to environments, to languaging, communication, and all these things as a child and then growing up are really kind of part of the framework of what aligns us to digest our emotions. And I learned about how through the Ayurveda and the principles of Ayurveda, and then my own journey into the various therapies that I learned um, about. They were kind of like fix-its, if you like. They
Repeat
were
that again. You said what? It's like what?
it's like a fix it.
Okay.
I would fix it for a while, and then my body would respond uh, to another situation in another way. So I felt like I was going down many rabbit holes in trying to address my up and down emotions. The feeling of how well I felt and how unwell I felt, and understanding that for me, part of I drew upon the Ayurvedic principles um, of a connection to a spiritual source, and for whatever um, people name as their spiritual source, whether it's God, whether it's Krishna, Buddha, Allah, all of those sources were. Um, I felt like when these emotions were going up and down, I would find some way of connecting to something else that as I was growing up, I felt was outside of myself, you know,
Wow.
with these emotions. And I think the thing is that when you have these up and down emotions, you feel that the savior for all of this, or to feel safe and calm again, is outside of you. And so this brought me into, you know, um, understanding my body, how my body responded. And then I went on through this connection of being connected to a source of um,
A higher
uh,
being.
higher being. Thank you.
Yeah.
It made me think, well, let me explore that. So I was at university, I went to study the history of religions, right? Like, what was it that drew, because it was all intellectual. My parents were teachers. So, I was brought up in an intellectual world. And so, read a lot. So it was like, oh, I have to understand this thing outside of me and why it brings peace to some, why people seek it. So I began from that place, you could say, um, and then what led me to understanding this connection into the quantum energy world and biofeedback was the fact that we live in a fast-paced world, and technology started to grow very, very quickly. In my from my mid 20s onwards, 30s, it was fast. You know, And today, well, I needn't say more. The technology um, demands our attention. And so I decided, many years ago to learn about how technology can um, create those graphs, pictures of the emotions of the physical body, of the the mind. Where was it? Of the environment. And I went to learn how these two can be connected. It's like, for example, Donna, if I said, could you please give me your cell phone number, right? And I then rang your cell phone number, right? How does that cell phone ring? It has only numbers. It doesn't know this number belongs to Donna Williams, right? It doesn't know. It just knows that I've
Amazing.
got to ring this number. And
You put me back to when the fax machine first started. I was around back then. When you fax and it rolls out this paper, and you remember, you're sending a message, a thing across waves,
yeah,
and it reached you specifically that you sent it to, not another person.
yes,
So I do understand what you're saying. It's such amazement technology.
it is. It is. And I then, realized that, oh, I mean, to be so transparent here, I would say I'm not a techie person, right? and and
But we are, because we cannot live without technology now.
correct, correct. And this is when you think of the devices that are used in hospitals and medical settings. A lot of them use technology,
Mhm.
right? And in fact, the device I use used to be used in hospitals, basically to help relax patients before they went into surgery, and because we know um, from an anatomical fact that when the nervous system is relaxed, the body repairs and addresses the anxiety levels and the nervousness, the emotions. And the aim was to get to reduce stress and to encourage relaxation, to the point that we talk about the brainwave states, you know the beta brainwave, which is the focus, that is when someone is totally focused on um, their emotion that is out of balance, that can raise blood pressure, right? For example. And it can do all sorts of things to the body. And so when you think that through um, this connection to uh, finding out what is going on in the body, you can address that to say, all right, for example, let's take the nervous system, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic central nervous system. Now, as we know, in when the sympathetic nervous part of the nervous system is pushed beyond its endurance,
Limits.
and
Mhm.
it's, yeah, the cortisol levels are so high, the beta brainwave state is almost like a fibrillator. It's very, very, it's going quite
That's what's happening to individuals now, because they have to work such long hours and
Mhm.
they're under so much stress. But how does the energy medicine works? Um, with conventional medical treatments? Is there any differences that
Yes, I mean the one of the things is that we don't. I use this expression: we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Because all of these things, conventional medicine, complementary medicine, therapies, quantum energy medicine, they all have their place and they all work together in connection and collaboration. So, here I would say my goal and my intention is to educate and bring awareness to this fact that there is no one thing that is going to fix it all. The thing is to work together. So if when I my clients that I meet have got these situations, um, whether be it high blood pressure or stress or any sort of those physical conditions, um, that are really taking them out of their day-to-day lives and caring for their families and for even caring for themselves and caring for their families, pets as well. Um, what I do is that they usually, Donna, the people that come to me are the ones who've tried just going the conventional medical route, right? Because we all have been that. That's how we've been culturally conditioned to, in a way to go like go visit your doctor first
yes,
and
go to the
don't
doctor?
tell.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But
And
somehow
I
they don't have that personal touch with going, at least some of them are aware, but they cannot go off into alternative treatments
no,
because they get
no.
into trouble. But can you share a personal story or a case study where energy made a significant impact on someone's health, since we're talking about
Yes.
individuals?
Ye- Yes, I think I will give a couple. I'll first start with myself because that's how I began. I feel that anything I would propose to help anybody with has to begin with I've got to experience it for myself first and see where it takes me and how I respond to it. And after all, I felt I was so connected to not only my emotional health, but also the emotional health and wellness of people that surrounded me, and also, would you believe, of pets, people's pets. You know, I would
But
I
how did
could.
that affect your energy? Wasn't it draining for you?
Yeah, I could feel if they were sad or upset, or I could feel if there was anger, or I could just feel the distress. And not only feeling my own distress, but I was feeling the distress of others, right? And so, and I think I would say that the term used is that we're empathetic, right, in that sense. At that time I was like sympathetic, empathetic, every sort of uh, you know to the point of I was being pathetic, right, in
Yes,
how I
exhausted.
was
Yes.
feeling. Yeah. And so I had a few sessions with this biofeedback. And so what it does is take a photo, and it takes a voice message, and like you say your name, and you repeat some letters like like the vowels AEIOU, and um, also, so hang on a minute, go to sneeze.
It's allergy season. We're all going through it, myself included.
it's springtime over here in New Zealand at the moment. So
Well, in New York, it is the fall. We are approaching winter. So,
yes. Um, yes, so um anyway, the connection through photo, and you've heard the expression, every picture tells 1,000 words,
yes.
right? You've heard um, the voice imprinter. You hear this being used in courts where, you know, you shall tell the truth, but nothing but the truth, right? And this is run on frequency and vibration. I can say, oh, I'm feeling so wonderful, right, today, and um, what comes up in the biofeedback is, well, I think you would like to feel fine today, right? But you're not actually fine. This is where,
That's
so
specific.
yeah,
Th-
that's specific. It because it talks in frequencies, so it's in numbers, right? So there are numbers, and also it gives also gives recommendations of how to go towards that frequency of feeling fine. So you put in an intention. So I would say my intention for this biofeedback session is to feel balanced, is to feel good health and wellness, and and peace, joy, you know. So I would put that intention in. So it's for the biofeedback device, it's and which is the technology, it receives that intention in numbers. And this is the frequency we've so I would say, has our audience understood that the terms frequency and vibration, right? So to bring in explain this, when you walk into a room, you know, let's say you're going to a family dinner or you're going to an office meeting, you walk into the room, you feel a vibe.
yes.
You can, you can sense, you can see body language.
Yes.
You know, we can all see body language. We can all kind of get an idea of expressions on people's faces. They
Hmm.
either very solemn, or they have a smile on their face, or
Hmm.
their eyes light up, or it's they're clues, right? That give you the vibe, the vibration of what's going on, the frequency of the energy in the room.
But tell me, when you are working with a client, and sometimes clients are individuals with
Yeah.
close off their emotions, they don't give off much out of for whatever reasons. So how do you access or teach them how to use their intuition, their intuitive healing abilities that's within their body? How do you transform that information to them, and also how do you input it into the biofeedback when they
Right.
are closed off?
Right. So basically what I'm doing is that in the so I would have them on uh, Zoom, for example, as I'm working on them. I ask them to we do have a conversation, a 20-minute, half an hour conversation before the session, to find out what, so from my skills and abilities as a practitioner of energy therapies, I would ascertain through a series of questions where they're at, where they want to go towards. So I have an idea. I can see and their body language. I can feel it just with I feel so blessed with my empathetic nature now. I embrace it because I can sense these things. So I bring that into the conversation we have, and then I get them to sit in their comfy chair, or where they have a notebook and a notepad handy, and they can read a book, or just sit quiet for about an hour. And meanwhile, I'm working on the device and I'm observing them. And so what happens is, as sometimes the device will give me this information, your client needs to breathe, right? It
Through the
could
Zoom. We're talking from a distance. You're treating them from a distance through the Zoom, and the
Yes.
machine picks up their energy.
Yes, yes. And it has picked up the energy also from the photo, the selfie photo they send me, and the voice message which I put into the device. And that brings up where they're at as well, in that conversation. And so to guide them through to that intuitive healing is to, if it says they are dehydrated, and for example, let's say an example, and the client says, but I drink a lot of water, I keep hydrated. It's so then that there, that is a whole big topic, hydration, right?
Oh, yes.
We think just by drinking the water
The
we are
8 glasses of
hydrated.
water. No, I
Yeah,
know.
this is how
But that is
complex.
what we're told. That is what we are
Yeah.
told.
Yes, and and when we are all held as unique beings, we hold ourselves as unique individuals. How one absorbs the water into their cells depends on their um, mental state, as to how the cell opens up to receive the water into the cells. Now, I'll bring another expression. You've heard about water that flows off a duck's back, right? Now, we know that when there's high blood pressure, high cortisol levels, that the cells that are kind of swimming in this visceral fat, right? And the cell's membrane has closed itself off to receiving the water, right? So it uh, it the guidance here is always into relaxation, because
So just a
once
moment.
you
You said, just one moment. You said the cells close itself off. It closes itself off, the high blood pressure cells. So how do you open it or bathe it in water for it, encourage it in some way? Because I know with one action it won't open, but give us even 2 steps to start the process, please.
yes, so the first process is to pause and breathe.
As
Do you
simple
know,
as that. Oh my
as
God.
simple as that? Because most of us, when we are stressed, shallow breathe. We breathe, probably not even past the throat, right? And so it's a panicky, anxious anxiety moment. The mouth feels dry, you know, even though we drink the water The
But
mouth feels dry.
a lot of people, they're not even aware that they're breathing
Mhm.
that low energy. How can you make them, be more aware? What do you do to help them?
Right. So, when we shallow breathe, what accompanies that with stress is pain, right? And so we've heard of people that talk about neck pain, shoulder pain, and all those sinus pain, right? And all the uh, you know the tension that, for example, that is held in the jaw, you know so people might have jaw tension and pain. And so these pain is often the messenger. It's often there to say, where is your are you breathing at all? you know like a lot of times I have caught myself holding my breath,
Yes,
holding my breath.
especially when we're nervous.
Yes, yes,
For me, it's usually when I'm nervous about something, and then you realize, oh, and as I take a deep breath, the body relaxes and the chemicals change within me. And then it tends to clear the mind also, because clarity then pops into the mind.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. And that's how the cell opens up, right? And
that is
because
great.
and we say the best medicine is always free. It's like breathe.
And, and the universe provides us with that.
And it's I laugh about it, but honestly, it's easier said than done.
Yes,
you know and
yes,
this is where I through what I observe in the biofeedback, I then recommend other therapies. There are times when I might say, when was the last time you checked with, if they're open to it, with your medical doctor. If I see something that is showing up um, on a consistent level. So by consistency, meaning that, um, let me use another example. Let's say a person is very, very tired, feeling very, very tired, and I throw a ball to them. They might catch it the first time, right? They throw the ball back to me. I throw the ball back to them again, and they miss it, right? So then I keep throwing the ball. So basically, the body cannot is saying, um, and the biofeedback would say, this person is so exhausted, has got no resources left. We need to build first. And so first I find out from the client whether they who they're uh, what their what's the word, who they connect to best in their community when they feel out of sorts, or they've been feeling out of sorts for a long time. I find that information from them first, because I think, like we were saying before, we've been conditioned to always go to the doctor, right? And also, without throwing the baby out with the bathwater, a doctor does have its place, right? Just all as um, also a breathwork practitioner has their place.
yes,
So I would say, like, find out where they're open to going to address what they're seeing. it might be acupuncture, it might be a chiropractor, it might be qigong practice, you know, learning qigong, tai chi, any of those practices. Um, Singing, taking up singing to open up the lungs, for example. Um,
What
doing
about
so,
laughter?
yes, or laughter yoga, for example. I took part in that too, laughter
Me
yoga.
too.
It is so incredible.
But
And
when the client is on Zoom, you talked about throwing the ball, the interaction, that type of interaction. How do you do the interaction then when they're on Zoom to get a reading of their energy?
so basically, I'm not necessarily talking to them all the time, right? I am working on the device to sing what my I would go as far as to say I have the gift of recognizing patterns and receiving the insights very quickly, you
Mhm.
know. And so I when I see a pattern come up, then I feel like I'm going to go to this another part of the program, because the biofeedback device has many layers in it.
Mhm.
So I might be drawn to going and looking at the mind, what is happening in the mind, even
Okay.
though the physical body is in the state that it is. I'm going to go to the mind. I might be drawn to going to the environment. What is happening in the environment? Um, and an interesting example is when, let's say, smoking comes up
Mhm.
in the person's system, but the
Portfolio.
person that doesn't
Profile.
smoke,
Mhm. He
doesn't smoke,
doesn't smoke.
right?
Mhm.
and and so or fumes, petrol fumes comes
Mhm.
up in
Yes.
in their in their from their environment. Oh, I don't have a car, so I don't go and fill petrol from the petrol station. However, they live on a busy street, right? They're surrounded by fumes. Or the they are living with people who smoke,
Yes.
including vaping, right?
As for the
That
vaping, let's not even go there because that is new and so many young people are addicted already. So their young brain is already being altered at such a young stage of life. What's going to happen when they have gotten older?
Well, this is where excuse me, the biofeedback and the hypnotherapy work that I do comes in, because when we think of putting, again, we're going down, you see what I mean by rabbit holes?
So let's change
um,
the topic. Tell me what else we should
yeah.
be talking. Tell me, all right, let me think of something. How about how do you keep up to date? And uh and you know what? Let's talk about mental health
Yes.
because it is so huge now from the pandemic, because before the pandemic, I was aware of mental health. But since that was when I learned how how much it is impactful, how many people are experiencing it. Tell me, how do you handle that?
So I would say that it began with personal experience with this and with mental health. Um, I work also with essential oils, and I was um, part of a group working with essential oils that learned about how people who were feeling extremely stressed or overwhelmed, went to their doctor and were given antidepressants. And the the cry, let's say, that came from the community was the antidepressants were basically going to be opening up a can of worms, so to speak, because they didn't actually address the root cause of the problem. It was just a band aid to the
Yes.
problem.
But that's mostly
And
medicine for you. Yes.
yes, so that was when I began to be aware of this um, through my own emotional unbalance as well from in myself. I understood how it would be easy to just apply an antidepressant, not feel those emotions. I didn't take an antidepressant. I used essential oils instead. Thank goodness for
So
me.
I essential oils, I use it practically every day. I use it with everything. And I also use acupressure, my fingertips, to
Yes.
apply to massage my energy levels, my meridians and stuff like I live daily for all those things. But then I had to learn that through life experiences. It didn't just happen to me. His life
Yes.
experiences taught me, and who my friends around me helped me that way. But the question I want to ask you for my listeners is, how do you begin to incorporate energy medicine practices into your daily self-care routine? How do you do that? That's easy.
Right. Well, I think we brought this up under the umbrella of mental health, and I think the thing is that to finish off that question and then bring it into guiding a client or a person through energy medicine, I feel that um, the the and I related it through a personal experience as well. My myself, as I'm a mother of three adult children, right? So we know about uh, the postnatal depression. We know about um, the all the imbalance of hormones that happen. So I experienced that, and then my children also went through stages of their own growth where yeah, I felt that my husband and I had provided everything necessary to keep them happy and safe and all of those things, but we're all unique individuals when we come into this world. And it's I the depression and the anxiety that was in for that my children experienced was such a heavy thing for a mother to see. And so excuse me, I sought, like any mother would, um, I would say, I sought to see what is possible for my children without putting them on medications like antidepressants and things like that. I was also brought up as a child in the world of homeopathy. And
What is that?
so, homeopathy,
What is that?
homeop- homeopathic,
Homotherapy? Okay, okay, sorry. I didn't hear that. Okay, sorry.
yeah,
I want my listeners to know
homeopathic,
exactly what we're talking about. Yes.
yeah, homeopathic medicine, another area of
Amazing area.
yeah, amazing area, which also works on energy, you know, and because of the potencies, we're working with potencies with homeopathy. And that also comes up in the biofeedback device, I might add. So that would say this person is actually so, homeopathy would be a very good thing for them to take. And then I test to see which homeopathic preparation would be best. I would give them, because of my knowledge and experience of, I'm not trained as a homeopath, but I've been brought up in it. I use it all the time.
Yes, but
Um,
that is such it's not a lot of people know about that. So I'm more thinking, what is it that is easily around us, or people are more knowledgeable about that can assist us in daily self-care routine? Because
right, right.
very few people know of them.
Yeah, I totally hear you there. And this is where I would do recommend two things: pause, breathe. You know, really, that is kind of like the easiest first thing to do. Pause, take a breath. As you mentioned before, you get clarity
You
just
do.
from that breath, right?
But
And
that took
then,
me years to discover and learn, because you talked about postnatal um, hormones changing and stuff. When I was younger, and it's when I got so much older, I realized I went through it, because back then, um, they didn't talk about, you couldn't acknowledge it. No one acknowledged that they were depressed or anything. Everything was a secret, even if you see someone going down that rabbit hole. So you would cry and be upset, and you're just being a woman, or because you just have baby. That was it. So it's only now through more awareness. And I thank God so much for that, because then we can handle what's happening and not let it develop into a crisis. So to think of something as easy as pausing and taking a deep breath to just heal the mind and the body for that instant, so that you can think, is so amazing to me, because it's so
yes,
simple.
yes, and we think also when of the postnatal depression, then on the other end of the scale is the menopause years, right? Which also bring that state. It's the hormonal balance in our body d- asks for a couple of simple things to begin the journey that would be unique for that person, right? The
Yes.
first easiest step is breathe, pause, build it into that self care routine, build this awareness of as soon as you wake up, um, you you you
But the
open your
pause and
eyes,
breathe, the pause and breathe
pause,
doesn't work
pause,
with
and
menopause. It doesn't work with menopause. That I can attest to, because my first exposure to it was, I one day I just couldn't breathe. I was in my office, wide open space. I could not breathe. There was no air. I ran out the building to get air, gasping for air. And it was a friend walking in, and she see me gasping and going on, and she said, "Oh, that's menopause. You just having little effect. It will pass." And that saved my thought, because I didn't know what was happening. I was going crazy. So the pausing and breathing, because sometimes I was ripping off my jacket because I couldn't breathe. In an instant like that, how would you use energy medicine?
right. So this is where the when we're talking about energy medicine, we're talking about the biofeedback. It gives me solutions and recommendations for that particular person with how they respond to certain things. And I mentioned homeopathy. I mean, then another thing is herbal, the herbs. That so visiting a herbalist to get
That's a
the
slow thing. It's a slow thing. And some of the herbs, they say you can't use it for more than 6 months. I did the herbalist way,
Mhm.
and it made me unable to sleep at night. I had problems sleeping. How do you address that?
Right. So this is thank you for that question, Donna, because this is where, there is no one magic cure, right, for this, because we're addressing what the body is going through physically, right? And this is where the I go through I would come back with the client into with the um, biofeedback into emotional wellness, into relaxing the nervous system. Now, one of the next things to do is to be in around nature, right? Nature, just yes, yeah. And if you can't get to nature, like some of us have the opportunity to be around trees or the beaches and the sea and rivers and all of those. If you haven't got that, is to um, also maybe have a garden. Now, if you don't have a garden and live in an apartment, you know, my mother, I saw my mother do this. Pot plants, pot plants, um, and uh, uh, and to go and nurture something else like a pot plant, get some
Help relieve the mind. The attention goes on something else.
yes, like to what do I love flowers, we I'm going to go down another rabbit hole here,
I know about the
Donna.
plants. I will go with you because I have a garden. And I am telling you, when I'm walking out to the car and something is blooming, my whole body, I feel it, my whole body smiles, it lights up. So I am down that rabbit hole with you, with the plants.
Fantastic. And after sometime, I usually say this after the hypnotherapy sessions, is to I use this thing about we've planted a seed, we've weeded out the weeds in the subconscious mind, right? That brought these patterns and conditioned behavior because of our environment, because of the way we cultures we grew up in, either supported or didn't support us. um, and now we've planted through the sessions by feedback and hypnotherapy, we have planted new seeds, right? So to make this actually a physical action, I encourage people to get a little pot, get their favorite flower, the seed of a favorite flower, whether it's a geranium or a lily or rose, whatever it is, and to plant it. And because there is no fast fix to something that has been there as a pattern for a while, right? There, and we can nurture that outside of ourselves, be it a plant, putting a seed in, taking the time to watch, you know, and I'm going to go down another rabbit hole. Masaru Emoto, the Japanese scientist that talked about water and the impressions of water, that and this is an experiment that has been carried out in schools with water, with rice, with food in general. So putting playing classical music to a glass of water, or playing um,
A
uh,
moment. You say plain classical music to water,
to water, yeah.
glass of water.
So yeah,
Why?
to a glass of water, because water, we are, let's say, between 80 and 90%
Of
water
our body. Yes.
of our body, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
by playing the music to the water, we are conditioning the water with vibrations and frequency. Now, you put another glass of water and you play um, the 6 o'clock news to it, right? The doom and gloom of the CNN.
No, we don't want that.
Well, you play that to that glass of water, and then usually it was measured, right, with a device. However, the more significant one was one that they did in a school, where they got cooked rice, right? And they put cooked rice in one bowl, and it's so they had two bowls, right? One was received the good energy, let's say, of going to the rice and being so grateful for the rice, right? And the other bowl got this kind of hate and, you know, I hate rice type of thing, right? And it was amazing what happened, right? The rice that received all the good energy stayed fresh and unspoiled. The rice that received the energy that was not great for it went moldy and bad, right? So it's, there there have been so many expressions of this to educate us all, and this is nothing new, however, it's I feel that although these things are not new, it comes into each of our awareness at right timing. There's a right timing to things, and for some people they say, well, then don't play bad music and don't listen. So they're not going to go down that. They're like being pragmatic and practical, right? And so to that person, I would say the breathing is good. Going to doing some sort of exercise, whether it is walking, you know, uh, at a pace, or just going out for a walk. If the weather is not great, as has been the case the last few weeks, and I've been working on the weather as well with the biofeedback, you know, um, sending it lots of loving intention.
Amazing. It's simply amazing. And it is so enlightening at the same time. But I, I want to know, I want to bring up, it's interesting, and I don't want it to end. But I want you to give us some closing thoughts, remarks, or anything that I might not have asked you, or
Mhm.
you're just remembering and you wish to point out to us. You want to leave us with a thought, a major thought.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Donna. What I would do is that to bring this conversation, we've talked about a lot of things. We've talked about, brought awareness and impressions from experiences into this conversation, to bring it all and into a nice ending here is to say that we as human beings, we respond to what is our body tells us what is going on inside of us through alerting us with either pain or discomfort, right? And
Yes.
our outside world fills our senses with what feels harmonious and what feels disharmonious, and to be aware of that. And there is one part of our body that gives us an essential direction, which I think maybe your listeners and you might have heard of Greg Braden. And Greg Braden introduced me to the world of heart math and the Heart Math Institute, and placing a hand on your heart and closing the eyes and pausing to breathe, right? And when you pause to breathe, you follow your breath with your awareness. And then, however, you don't try and change it, you just follow it. And by observing it, you bring in this feeling of gratitude, just gratitude that um, there is a place for each of us to receive our understanding at the right time. Just gratitude for that. And assistance always comes at the right time. And just being in that gratitude helps to pause our breath and take deep, longer breaths. And with that, I'd say, that brings the organ of the heart back into the picture, and and brings the energy from the brain down to the heart. So, that is where the essence of what we've been talking about comes to. It's what's in your heart. What is your heart's desire?
So it comes back, I'll go further and say, because the heart is love. So that love energy is always within us, and we are giving it and receiving it. In a sense, we're healing ourselves in our own individual ways, because we are the God, whoever you pray to or worship, has filled our bodies with everything we need. It's just for us to activate it.
Correct.
So your sense of saying, connect with our heartbeat. And that is amazing, because the heartbeat tells us everything, because in a moment's notice, it's moved from one way to another. We know when we are off. So if we can constantly connect with that, I think that is great.
Yes.
What do you think?
That is the best biofeedback tool that we have with us.
Yes.
Is our heart.
Oh my gosh. As we wrap up on this exciting journey in harnessing quantum energy for lowering blood pressure, because the breathing and the connection with the heart can help us lower our blood pressure, it's clear that embracing alternative approaches can open new pathway to wellness and so much more. I found energy medicine offers a gentle and holistic way to support our health by tapping into the body's natural system. And by incorporating these practices, we all, you especially my listeners, can experience not only reduced blood pressure, but also improved overall well-being, increased relaxation, and a deeper connection with your inner being, your inner self, because there is an inner self within us. As we continue to explore and embrace the possibility of energy medicine, we move towards a more balanced, harmonious, and healthier life. So I want to thank you, my listeners, for joining us on this heartfelt journey. And I want to thank, I will call her Dr. Rebecca because she's definitely a doctor in my opinion, and especially in the work she is doing and practicing. And I thank her for this enlightening and helpful conversation today. So that brings us to the end of Harnessing Quantum Energies, a heartfelt journey, and it was a heartfelt journey to lower blood pressure podcast. I thank you for joining us today, and I'm asking you to stay tuned for more insightful discussions within the High Blood Pressure Wellness Lifestyle Podcast community. Until then, please do take care and stay healthy. And if you find this episode helpful, please share it or text the link here with family. I'll be providing the link here with friends and others who might benefit from this conversation. And I'm sure there are people you know who would benefit from it. And because remember, it's a free health treatment advice you got here of just pausing and taking a deep breath. So don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more valuable information on managing your health. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, feel free to reach out. Let's continue this journey towards better health and well-being together. And remember to, if you need more information from Dr. Rebecca, to click on the, I'm sorry, her link that is provided here. Thank you again.